Hello student, myself Nimesh Prabhakar. Welcome to Antenna and Propagation lecture series. In my previous lecture, I start new chapter number 15, and in this lecture we have studied about the modes of propagation and duct propagation. Now we continue chapter radio wave propagation, and today's lecture we study about virtual height of ionosphere layer. Then we discuss about the maximum usable frequency, that means MUF. Then we discuss about the sand law. Then we discuss about the skip distance. Then we discuss about the optimum working frequency, that means OWF. Then we study about the multi-hop propagation. So in this lecture, we study about this topic. So now we start from the first one, that is a virtual height of ionospheric layer. In the ionospheric propagation, we studied that when the wave is launched into the ionosphere with an incident angle theta I, due to the gradual changes in the refractive index, there is a refraction of the wave. We know that the path of the wave is a curved path which return to the wave back to the earth. Here we can see in this figure, this is a curved path. The actual path of radio wave transmit by the transmitter T and the receiver on the earth by the receiver is, in this figure we can see this is a TPCQR path. Now the actual path is TPCQR. This path is curved path in the ionosphere along PCQ. Instead of curved path, it is convenient to consider a wave travel straight path along with TPC dash. If the mirror like a refracting surface is present at C dash, then the wave gets reflected along the C dash QR path. The height of the reflecting surface from the Earth's surface, that means OC dash, is called as a virtual height. It is the virtual because reflecting surface is not present there. That's why it is just, we have know that is a virtual height or in the imagination height. Now the importance of the virtual height. So why we study in the radio communication this virtual height? So the virtual height is always greater than the actual height. If the virtual height of layer is known, then it is easy to calculate the angle of incidence required for wave of return to Earth at a desired point. So this is the importance of virtual height. That's why we calculate the virtual height. Now, how we can measure the virtual height? So we see this is the figure and we understand the measurement of the virtual height. To measure the virtual height, the instrument used is ionospheric sound and it is known as a ionosonde. The transmitter in the transmit vertically upward as pulse modulated radio wave with a pulse duration of about 150 microseconds. So here in this figure, this transmitter is send the signal. The receiver is placed very close to the transmitter. Here we can see this is receiver. The transmitter to observe both the direct wave and the reflected signal. The spacing between this signal on the time axis of CRO gives the time required for the round trip T. The distance traveled by a virtual pulse is twice the virtual height. So knowing the time required for the round trip velocity of the wave, the distance traveled is we can calculate. So we know that velocity is equals to velocity into time is equals to distance. We know that. So we can also write as a c cross t is equals to 2h. Here the virtual height is we can calculate as h is equals to 1 by 2 into ct. So by using this equation, we can calculate the virtual height of the ionospheric layer. Now we discuss second one topic is the maximum usable frequency, that is MUF. We know that the critical frequency for any layer represents the highest frequency that will be reflected from that layer at the vertical incidence. But if it is not vertical incidence, then the frequency greater than critical frequency can be returned to Earth from the same layer. We can investigate this using a simple mathematics. We know that the equation is the eta is equals to sine theta I upon sine theta is equals to under root of 1 minus 81 capital N upon f square. Here this theta is the angle of the reflection, and as the wave enters from one strip to next higher strip in the ionization layer, its value goes on increasing. It increased to 90 degree and then the wave start traveling down towards the earth. Thus, at the point of highest reflection point is theta is equals to 90 degree. Then the equation number 1 we can be written as eta is equals to sine theta I upon, we know that here we have condition theta is equals to 90 degree. So we have write sine 90 and we know that sine 90 is nothing but the 1. So we can write this equation as eta is equals to sine theta I is equals to under root 1 minus 81 nm upon f square. Now consider two cases of the angle theta I. Case 1, vertical incidence, that means theta I is equals to 0. So here for the vertical incidence with n is equals to nm, the frequency is nothing but the critical frequency. Using the equation number 1, we can write eta is equals to theta I is equals to 0. So we have write the 0. So eta become is equals to 0. So we can solve this equation. So we can write 81 nm upon f square is equals to 1. Now we consider case 2, non-vertical incidence. That means theta I is not equals to 0. Then for the wave to enter into the atmosphere in the upward direction, the incidence angle should be theta 0 less than or equals to theta I or less than 90 degree. That means theta I is between the 0 to 90 degree. So we can write, now we give the sine theta. So we know that sine 0 is a 0 and sine 90 is equals to 1. So we can write the 0 less than sine theta I less than 1, or sine theta I is nothing but the eta. So we can write the 0 less than eta less than 1. So that means eta value is between 0 to 1, which require 81 into nm upon f square is less than 1. Now we comparing the equation number 2 and 5. So we find f is greater than fc. Now the maximum possible value of frequency for which reflection takes place for a given angle of incidence is called as a maximum usable frequency for that angle and for the given ionospheric layer. If the frequency is higher than this, then the wave penetrates the ionized layer and does not reflect back to the earth. Now we discuss our next one topic is the Sand law. Using this law, we can determine the highest frequency that will be returned to the earth for non-vertical incidence. We have equation eta is equals to sin theta I upon sin theta is equals to under root of 1 minus 81 n upon f square. At the highest refraction point, that means for that condition is the theta is equals to 90 degree and n is equals to nm. We have discussed in the last slide. For f is greater than fc, let us denote it as a f/muf. Now putting the value in this equation number 1, we get eta is equals to sin theta I upon sin 90 is equals to under root of 1 minus 81 nm upon f square muf. So we know that sin 90 is equals to 1. So we can write this equation as a sin theta I is equals to under root of 1 minus 81 nm upon f muf square. So now from equation number 2, we can write fc is equals to 9 under root nm, or we can also write fc square is equals to 81 nm. Now using the equation number 2, using this, that means using this equation number 2, we can write as a sin square theta I is equals to 1 minus fc square upon f muf square. So now we simplify this equation. So we can write the left hand side term fc square upon muf square in the left hand side and 1 minus sin square theta I. So we know that 1 minus sin square theta I is nothing but the cos square theta I. So we can write as the f muf square is equal to fc sec theta I. This equation says that the maximum usable frequency is greater than the critical frequency by a factor sec theta I. This is known as the sand law. Now next one topic we discuss about is the skip distance. Skip distance is defined as the minimum distance from the Earth's surface and the point from where the radio signal is being transmitted. Let us consider the frequency is greater than fc and the wave is transmitted at a different incidence angle theta. In the figure, two angles are shown. The reflection between them is theta I is equals to 90 degree minus beta, and here this beta is represent the radiation angle and theta I is indicate the incidence angle. Now the relation between the ionization density, frequency and the angle of incidence is Nm is equals to f square cos square theta I upon 81. In this equation, when the theta is small, cos square theta I is high, and for fixed frequency, the required ionization density for reflection is less. In the ionization layer, the ionization density is maximum at the center of the layer and it is decreased both in downward and upward direction. The wave with high theta I is returned to the earth from the lower region to the ionization layer. And this is true for the ray 1 and ray 2 in the last figure. And this ray are referred as a lower ray. If the angle of incidence is now made significantly less than that of ray 3, ray 4 or for ray 5, for this ray, high value of Nm is required. If not present in the given ionization layer, the wave penetrates through the ionization layer with a very little refraction. This ray will not return to the earth and hence is called as a escape ray. Now the expression for skip distance. So we can find out the skip distance by using this equation. D skip is equals to 2h under root of f MUF upon fc square minus 1. So here this MUF is representing the maximum usable frequency. Fc is, we know that, critical frequency. H is indicate the height at which the reflection happen, and D skip is indicate the skip distance. So by using this equation, we can calculate the skip distance. Now next one is optimum working frequency. The frequency normally used for ionospheric propagation is called as optimum working frequency. It is 50% less than the MUF. Due to the irregularities in the ionosphere, the MUF for a particular location varies from time to time. If we consider only day variation, the virtual height of the ionospheric layer varies considerably. So here we can see the skip distance is also changed in the daytime and night time. In the night time it increased, then the daytime, and so the skip distance increased as shown in this figure. In practice, it is not possible to change the MUF from time to time. Practically, it found that the frequency about 50% lower than the MUF gives the satisfactory communication. Now we discuss about the next one topic is the fading. So first of all, question come in our mind, what is fading? So fading is fluctuation in the received signal strength at the receiver, or it is undesirable variation in the intensity of the wave received at the receiver. It is caused by the variation in height and the density of ionization in the different layer of the ionosphere. Now the types of fading. So first one type is the selective fading, second one is the interference fading, third one is the absorption fading, fourth one is the polarization fading, and last one is the skip fading. So we discuss one by one. So first one is the selective fading. Selective fading or frequency selective fading is a radio propagation anomaly caused by a partial cancellation of radio signal by itself. The signal arrives at the receiver by two different paths, and at least one of the paths is changing. This typically happens in the early evening or early morning as the various layers in the ionosphere move, separate and combine. Now, second one type of fading is the interference fading. Interference fading is the produced by the interference between the upper and the lower ray of a skywave, between the skywave reaching the receiver by different number of hopes of different paths. It can be minimized by space diversity or frequency diversity technique. Now third one is the absorption fading. This type of fading occurs due to the variation of signal strength with the different amount of absorption of wave by the transmission medium. Next one is the polarization fading. This type of fading occurs due to the change of polarization of the downcoming skywave. The state of polarization of downcoming skywave is constantly changing. This is caused by superposition of ordinary and extraordinary wave which are oppositely polarized. And last one type of fading is the skip fading. This type of fading occurs at a distance near the skip distance. Any variation in the height or density of ionized layer may move the receiving point in out the skip zone. The most common method of minimize this spreading is to use automatic volume control, that means AVC or AGC in the receiver. So by using this we can reduce this spreading. And last one topic for this is the multi-hop propagation. The multi-hop propagation in the ionosphere is similar to troposphere. When the wave originating from the transmitter reaches the receiver without touching the ground in between, it is known as one hop. So here in the first one figure we can see this is the one hop figure. Now when the receiver is beyond one hop distance, multi-hop communication is the solution. So here this is the two hop communication, or it is also known as the multi-hop communication. Depending on the transmitting antenna, signal below approximately 10 MHz during the day and 5 MHz at night may reach the ionosphere at a steep angle and reflect straight back down to the earth. The earth's surface reflects the incoming wave back towards the ionosphere again. As a result, like a rock skipping across the water, the wave may actually bounce or skip between the earth and ionosphere two or more times. This is known as multi-hop propagation. So this is the multi-hop propagation. So in this lecture, we have discussed about virtual height of ionosphere layer. Then we discuss about the maximum usable frequency. Then we discuss about the sand law. Then we discuss about the skip distance. Then we discuss optimum working frequency. Then we discuss about the multi-hop propagation. And last we discuss about the fading. So we have studied this topic in this lecture. Thank you.